mute automatically.
Oh, okay.
A warm hello. I am so excited to see all of you today. Hi, and a warm welcome to the Think Differently by Design listening tour with your hosts, Dina Redinger and Sharon Weinstein. Dina is not with us today, but we are co-authors of the book, Think Differently, 18 Strategies to Fix Broken Thinking. We invite you to engage with your peers and us as we address issues related to nurses, nursing, and of course, the workforce. You know, I read this morning that there are over 4 million nurses, but only 3 million of them are working. That could be the answer to our workforce. In our studies of those in leadership positions, we have found that success happens when we ask the right questions and we solve the right problems. Our respective healthcare and writing careers make us uniquely qualified for this role as facilitators. So we invite you to sit back, be a part of a future program should you wish to do so, by participating in a 30-minute discussion using the LinkedIn Live platform. We will conduct live interviews on Tuesdays and Thursdays through February, and our goal is to provide nurse leaders with an opportunity to be heard, to express their opinions, to share ideas, and to tell their stories. But before we start, I want to acknowledge you and thank you for joining us today. We have viewers from across the globe, so please use the chat. I already see several people in the chat from other countries. Use the chat and let us know where you're from. If you're seeing this on replay, you can still comment and we will respond. Today, we welcome a special colleague. Her name is Nancy Rollins Gantz, a DNP candidate who maintains an enthusiasm and endless energy for being a consistent mentor, motivator for leadership team growth, and point of care staff, coupled with an emphasis on quality outcome services and patient safety values. While working globally, Nancy Gantz developed the CAPS International Model, Cultural Appreciation Through Professional Practice and Synergy. She is a Wharton Fellow through the completion of the J&J Wharton Program for Nurse Executives, the Wharton Business School. She is an editor and author of the book 101 Global Leadership Lessons for Nurses, Shared Legacies from Leaders and Their Mentors, published by Sigma. And she is completing her second book on international mentoring called Mentoring in Nursing Through Narrative Stories Across the World, that will be published by Springer in 2023. Dr. Gantz recently received her certification as a global nursing consultant through the International Council of Nurses and Cogfins. She also holds a CNEN and was inducted as a fellow in the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland and as a fellow in the American Organization of Nurse Leaders. The accolades are prolific. Nancy is someone to be reckoned with, and she has made a huge impact on nurses and nursing. So let's get started and hear from her. Nancy, why do nurses and the profession have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a difference in healthcare?
Well, because of COVID, we have never had a situation like COVID before. Florence Nightingale had the Crimean War, and she took advantage of that. She looked at that as an opportunity. And you think back what she developed, and hand washing, sanitation, statistics, I mean, all very solid things. And we have that same opportunity right now. But we have to go out and be heard. And I don't believe people are going to listen much longer. They know who took care of them when they had COVID in the hospital. They know it was the nurses who wore all that
Gear.
isolation gear.
Yeah, protective gear.
Exactly, and worked extra shifts. They know it's the nurse. And so people are listening, and I feel that we have a real opportunity right now.
That's an interesting concept because years ago, I worked for Hospital Corporation of America, and I was always told there are no challenges, just opportunities. And that if we create opportunities out of what we perceive as challenges, the path only goes forward. But I like your connotation, if you will, that COVID presented an opportunity for us. Yes, we were challenged by it. There's no question. Nurses across the world were challenged. But by the same token, there was an opportunity to perhaps reintroduce nursing to the publics we serve. Is that true?
Say that again, the last part.
Okay. So there are challenges and there are opportunities.
You're cutting out.
I am.
Yeah.
There are challenges and there are opportunities. If we perceive our challenges as an opportunity for change or for growth, what difference will that make in our lives? Is that our opportunity to reintroduce nursing to the publics we serve? Do they need to know more about who we are and what we do?
No, they do. And that's why we need to drive the solutions. We need to be involved in committees, all high powered. I say high powered, meaning global, national, local committees need to have nurses on that committee. And I get very discouraged when I see a new committee that's started to address the issues of healthcare and I don't see a nurse on the committee. That can't be. We need to be vocal. We need to make our stand, and we need to tell people that we've been there, we've done that, and we're at the front line, and we need to have voice in the change if we want to see real positive change in healthcare, which I believe we do.
Well, that's kind of interesting because, first of all, we have a question or a comment, and it's how do nurses get on committees and boards? And the other question that relates to that is, sometimes, and it's not really a question, but a comment, sometimes when I'm perusing a hospital or health system, I will look for their leadership. And I won't see anything related to a CNO. I don't see anyone with nursing at the helm. Why do I not see that? How can organizations that deliver care, that know that care is 99% delivered by nurses, not recognize nursing?
No, and that's true, Sharon. And that's one of my pet peeves that I would never work when I was in nursing administration and I was a director and a VP of nursing. I always made it very clear that nursing rounds and visibility were critical to me being a nurse leader. And they needed to support that. And if that meant that I was going to maybe be on one less committee and someone from nursing would represent me, that's fine. That's what it meant. But I would go in early or stay late, make rounds. Making rounds was part of my DNA. And I feel that visibility is just so critical for nurse leaders and especially the VPs of nursing. And their CEO needs to support that, needs to encourage it, needs to go with her on round.
Exactly. You and I have both had the distinct privilege, and it is a privilege, to mentor others throughout our careers and to also be mentored by others. I don't think anyone gets anywhere without a mentor. You've had such a strong focus on it now, and I mentioned that you're publishing a new book on it. Why is mentoring so critical to the nursing profession?
It's going to move us forward and keep us moving forward. I think of when I'm teaching and the students who are very concerned about nobody wanting to help them or if they're going to have to be out there alone. And I share with them, you need to find that out ahead of time when you're interviewing. Will I be in a program like a 6 month, a year, whatever, where I will learn the routine of the hospital, have someone that works with me, and then look for a mentor. Look for someone that you can talk to, you can learn from. And that's what I did. I think so many of us, and I know you did, start in critical care. And there was a nurse that was so willing to help me. And I always took my concerns, my questions, my problems to her. And she very gently, methodically shared the solution. Not a quick 1 second answer or I'll talk to you later, but she stopped and took the time, and that's important. That's very important. And especially for our new generation that are coming on board in nursing. And that's what's going to keep our profession moving. and that's what how we're going to advance. I really believe wholeheartedly there's not a hospital, inpatient, outpatient, that should not have a mentoring program. And I just read an article the other day that the low and middle income countries are more prevalent with mentoring programs than the high income countries. So
Wow.
that was a shocker for me, but it was also, I knew for our book that we needed to get people from other countries because they were doing great work with mentoring, but it was different than us, and that's okay as long as it gets the same result. And so, I was very surprised by that, and so we can learn from that.
That's interesting. I wanted to mention that there's this whole concept of nurses who apply for jobs. So they might go to Indeed or to some other online service looking for a job. But the job that they see advertised on that site is not the same thing as the actual job for which they show up. So I'm finding, and I know many of my colleagues in Sherman in the workforce space are finding that the advertisements don't reflect the reality. Do you think that's why when nurses don't have mentors, they don't have someone to help them, that they lose interest and just leave?
Oh, I think that's very true. Yes, I think that's if we don't have a strong orientation, preceptor, mentoring programs in place to help guide these people who are just out of school, we're not going to have a workforce. And
Right.
I would get discouraged too if I didn't have somebody. When I first graduated from nursing school, I went to AACN's National Teaching Institute Critical Care Symposium. They have a yearly symposium,
Right.
4 days long, and the speaker, the plenary speaker, was Vernice Ferguson, which I know you know who
Right.
Vernice
Right.
is. And at the time, she was the VA's chief nurse. And her speech, her presentation was so captivating. I mean, she just pulled me in. Everything she said about leadership was just so true. And so I don't know what possessed me to do it, but afterwards I went up to the front to tell her how great she was. And she thanked me. And then I said, which I don't know how I said this, would you be my mentor?
Oh,
And she said,
wow.
love
That's
to.
bold.
And that was back in the days when there was no internet. There was paper and pencil and telephone. And we did most of our mentoring by paper and pencil. But I still look back and I just feel so blessed that I had her to mentor me. And then it also made me realize that I need to start mentoring people. And I started soon after I got out of nursing school.
Right. Well, you were very fortunate, A, that she said yes, and B, that she had such an impact on you that you wanted her. You identified her as someone who could, in fact, be a mentor. Look at Barbara's comment about how important it is to seek a mentor as opposed to waiting for someone to come to you. If we don't ask, we don't get. That's been my premise my entire life. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no, right?
That's right. And if you don't ask, I mean, all you can get is a no, but you might get a yes.
Yes. So do
That's a
you
great
address
question.
seeking a mentor in your new book? Do you address that concept?
Excuse me?
Do you address that in your new book on mentoring? How to get a mentor, how to ask?
With 150 chapters and 900 pages,
Wow.
I think we do, but right now my mind is overloaded with,
Okay.
different areas. But I'm sure we do. But Barbara makes a very good point. Someone's not going to come and say, "Can I be your mentor?" You
No.
need to identify people who you want to be like, who have the values, the skills, that you want to acquire and learn from. And that's just so important. And then you need to identify people that you can share that with, that you see potential in. And I have to say, the people that I've worked with, the staff, very few did not have potential to mentor, very few. And those are probably people that had been in nursing for such a long time and were near retirement that they were, on
They
the
might have
way.
been drained. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might have
Except,
been drained.
yeah. Except, we shouldn't be drained from nursing. We're a caring, compassionate association. We shouldn't be drained from it. We should be filling our cup every single day. It's just so important.
Well, look at this comment from Rita, who says that mentoring new nurses, new faculty, and nurses in new positions is crucial to our success. There's no question. Mentors also provide what we now call resiliency and well-being. They set the standard for an environment that is conducive to learning and where people feel valued and appreciated, don't they?
That's right. They do. And I mean, and they don't take someone in and say, we're going to work, work, work. They stop and say, now it's time for a break. We need to sit down for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, put our feet up, that kind of thing. We need to take care of ourselves. We can't expect to empower other people without empowering ourselves. And the only way you do that is by taking care of yourself. And we need to show the new graduates how to do that. I think that's critical, and that's something that we haven't been doing in our profession.
Right. And then according to Nicolette, great mentoring relationships don't just happen without a plan. It's okay, but asking for a mentor is a great way to continue to grow the profession. It's growing our future. It's ensuring that there will be people available to take care of us when we need care.
That's right. And I love all the people asking questions. And Nikki has a very good point. And we do have to have a plan in place. And I know for our Sigma chapter, we have a mentoring program in place, but units should have that too. I mean, hospitals should have that. It should be a standard.
Right. We should be here to support our young.
That's right.
We should be here to support that next generation, that cadre of professionals that is going to be there when we're long gone. There is no question. And without that, we have nothing, to be honest.
Yeah.
It needs to be part and parcel of every single nursing program, of every onboarding program. Everyone coming into an institution or a health system should know there is someone I can ask, and this is where I can go for help.
I remember someone saying to me when I asked her if she had a mentoring program, she said to me, she was a VP of nursing, no, we really don't need that. And I had to ask her, why do you say you don't need that? Well, we've got all the positions filled and, we're doing okay. And I said to her, what about the future? What about when people leave? And, what about developing leaders? And that's the way we do it, by mentoring. But I was.
What was her response? Because it sounds to me like she was thinking we only need mentors for people when we have a recruitment issue and we're trying to recruit and retain people. But if the positions are filled, we don't need mentors. We'll just let them go on their own.
Yes. And that was her point. And that's so sad, because that is just so far from the truth.
Well, she's missed the point. Yeah. That's the saddest part.
Yeah.
That there's someone in that position who doesn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Who really doesn't get it.
And so
go ahead.
There isn't a nurse leader that shouldn't be mentoring someone right now. I take great pride in that the people that filled my positions, I mentored into those positions, and I would hope that they would do the same thing. I mean, that, unless you have a circumstance where, and the circumstances happen, but that should be a priority, that we're mentoring someone, just like we do for our chapters, our Sigma chapters, that we mentor people for the next.
Well, that's where the future leaders are coming from. This morning, I did a call with the new students at American Armenian University, Erebuni, and it was 9 this morning, so maybe 9 or 10 for them. But they talked about mentoring as well. They talked about, I had a mentor in my program, and this individual encouraged me to go on and to do new things and to reach for new heights, and that's what I want to do. And it was very interesting because they were talking about the fact that in order to advance in nursing, they had to become doctors, a cardiologist, an oncologist, a hematologist. And I said, no, you don't. You need to become a doctor in nursing practice. You need to move to that direction and expand your nursing levels and your reach so that you are, in fact, the first generation in your country of doctoral prepared nurses.
That's right. No, that's so true. And I mean, the DMP has really taken off, which is good. But then I look at the PhD program, and we still need to be into research, and that's lagging behind. But the more educated we become, the more we can change healthcare, the more we can have say into what the change in healthcare is going to be, and they'll listen.
Right. And then from Susan, we hear mentoring is important. We also need to ensure that nurses know how to be a good mentor.
Definitely. And that's goes back to that every facility should have a program. And you just don't say, okay, you mentor Susie and you mentor Jill. I mean, they have to be taught how to mentor. And that takes time too. Just like preceptors, you
Right.
teach someone to be a preceptor. But it's the same thing too with all the specialties in nursing. We don't just, well, even though I know with COVID, we did throw people into other units, but hopefully we're getting away from that. But you
Right.
just don't do that. I mean, you give them the tools they need to be able to be successful.
Have you always had a nurse as a mentor in your professional career?
No, I haven't. I've had varied professions in healthcare and out of healthcare. I don't think it should have to be a nurse. Someone who has an ability to do something that you see is really high value and appreciated is a good mentor. So
Exactly. Because I personally have had one nurse mentor I can think of, but the others have all been PharmDs.
have
They have
they?
all been people because of my interest in IV pharmacology and drug-drug interactions who led me on a different path.
That's great. That's great.
And you know, with the exception obviously of the one who has passed, I'm still very close to those people today. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
huge. That's
that's
huge no matter how many years later.
what, oh, that is so huge. And you develop that relationship, and it lasts for such a long time.
Exactly.
It's very special.
So Barbara then adds in that you and she have had conversations about breaking down mentorship into generative actions, nurturing the next generation and not just informal relationships. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I don't know specifically what Barbara wants me to say, but I think of when I talk to the younger generation, the new generation, I they see my verbal and nonverbal communication.
Mm-hmm.
They know my positive talk, and they don't see negative talk come out of me. And that's, to me, nurturing the next generation is they need to see the positivity. And when they say to me, well, we hear that we're just going to be thrown on the unit and have to take care of 10 patients, I'll say, no, stop. Let's talk about this. You don't know that for a fact, and you have control over that. You have a voice, and you have control over that. And they do. And I think that is important that they hear that. And they know that they can control a lot of things. Just because they're a new graduate doesn't mean they keep silent.
Exactly. They need a voice. You know, Nancy, when I look at you on screen or in life, I see passion in your eyes, fire in your eyes about the nursing profession. You are passionate about nurses and nursing. You want this next generation of nurses to produce another cadre of nurses that go on and on and on, and that it is, in fact, a highly sustainable profession. How do we pass the love, the honor, and the passion for nursing to our colleagues? How do we do that?
Well, and you're right. I do. I am very passionate about nursing, and I feel I've had a very blessed career, and I definitely made the right choice. Um, but a lot of it is what I just said about positive talk. and our verbal and nonverbal. Like when at the end, when I was in nursing administration, I was there for about 35 years. And then I decided I wanted to go into education, which I never thought I would go into education. And then I thought, oh, gee, education, that'll be easy. You know, you just teach students.
Oh no, oh no.
I know.
Yet another challenge. Yeah.
That's right. My DMP program has shown me, because I have a minor in nursing education, and all the classes I have taken, I have learned so much. And education is huge and so important. But I tell the students, if they've had a busy day, a challenging day, and they'll come back and we debrief at the end, and they'll say, oh, that was a terrible day. I'll say, no, that wasn't a terrible day. That was a day that maybe you could have used an extra pair of hands. You could have maybe done something differently. But it wasn't a terrible day. Look at what you learned today. And look at how you're growing each day through what you're learning.
Right.
I think that is so important with students. And I take great pride in sharing that my enthusiasm for nurses and nursing with them. And they know that. I mean, they know that I feel that way.
Oh, this is so sweet. Look at this. Do you know, Usama? I think there is an internal flame and passion to nursing care in all those that chose this path. And this passion is nurtured by inspiring leaders like Dr. Nancy. How do you two know one another?
I am mentoring him.
Okay.
Yes, I am, through AONL's program. I am in several programs, association programs, and he's wonderful. And I'll tell you, he is a leader already, and he's going to be doing wonderful things in the Middle East. I have no doubt about that.
That's exciting. And from Kunta, we hear students are at a vulnerable stage in their professional careers. Mentors have the power to either make them or break them. I think that we can pass this passion by sharing inspiring stories that we have experienced in our professional experience, right?
Yes. Oh, definitely.
We need to share the good, not just that I had a hard day.
No.
I had a day when a patient reached out and held my hand because I was the one who came to the rescue, because I was the one who was there to feed them or nurture them or do something, because I was the one who explained to their family what was going on.
That's
because
right.
I took the time to be with them and to listen.
Yeah.
Because every listening experience is in itself a learning experience.
That's right. No, that's right.
Wow.
I agree so much with Kunta. It's very important. Very important. And I remember back when I was a new grad, and I, of course, was working night shift, as we all do.
Yes.
And I asked where
the rite of passage.
That's right. I asked where the head nurse was, and they said, oh, you don't want to meet her, because if you meet her, that means you've done something wrong. And I thought, that doesn't sound right. So one morning, of course, the night shift, getting off, and she was beelining for me, and I thought, oh no, I did something wrong. And she came up to me, and she didn't say, hi, Nancy, how you doing? How's it going? Are you settling in? Her first word was, you realize a pink sweater is not your dress code at the hospital. It's navy blue. And she turned around and left. And didn't give me the chance to say, here I am, 23, with a tan, blonde hair, and pink looks so much better on me than navy blue, But I'm sure she wouldn't have appreciated that.
No.
But I thought to myself, I need to go into leadership. That's just not right. That's just not a leader.
Yeah, you need to be the one that creates that next generation of leaders.
That's right.
Yeah. I never had the pink sweater thing, but I did have the nail polish and the hair on your collar and those sorts of things.
Yes.
Whatever. Listen, I could go on and on forever with you. Unfortunately, because we've had so many comments that we had to address, time is running short. So it's time for a close and an invitation to join us again next week as we welcome yet another one of your peers to the program. If you'd like to participate, please reach out to us in the interim. Nancy, Rollins, Gantz, thank you so much for the valuable information that you just provided and for inspiring not only this generation, but next generations of nursing to move on, to move forward, to rise through the ranks and become next generation leaders and mentors. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this.